So, you remember all that stuff we've been telling you about NFTs for the past 5 years? Well, it's all a scam. That is, according to our buddy Jimmy Song, a friend of the show and a Bitcoin maximalist to the core. Jimmy's got some harsh words for NFTs and every token that isn't Bitcoin. It's great to visit with him once more and get his hot takes on the state of the crypto world. And believe me, they are very hot takes indeed. If there was ever a bad crypto episode of Hot Ones, this is it. Without the wings, of course. It's about to get super spicy in here, so you might want to bring a gallon of milk for this NFTs Are Trash, episode number 601 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition.
Who's bad?
Hey, Trev, do you watch Hot Ones?
I have watched Hot Ones.
It's such a great show. Watching, you never know who's going to fall apart and who's going to make it all the way through. I would be crying like a baby. I would be done about halfway through. I'm done. Give me a gallon of milk.
I love spicy food, but when shit gets too spicy, dude, that stuff just like feels like it's incinerating my tongue. And I'm just like, nope.
Yeah, for people who don't know the show, the dude basically interviews celebrities and they eat wings, and they've got hot sauce that goes up the Scoville scale, the amount of chili and spiciness in it, until it gets to like Inferno, and he's interviewing them like, Letterman or Jay Leno would, only they're crying and they're gagging, and it's pretty hilarious.
The worst one is the Robert Scoville. It's up at the very top of the scale. It's super spicy. It's just horrible.
So welcome to the Bad Crypto Podcast. We are your spicy hosts. What's a good S word for that would go with spicy in the crypto world? Super spicy.
We're super spicy shards of crypto.
You just sharded yourself.
Yeah, it's good. Can you see this right here?
What do you got? Is that Jimmy?
Yeah, I met him today.
Oh, you got to see Jimmy today in person. Awesome.
Yeah, I actually uploaded a new video in our YouTube Shorts where I was like me walking around and then taking a bunch of photos. I ran into Ken Bosak, ran into Brian Bergerson of MobiPay,
Brendan,
ran into Jimmy Song, ran into Rice Crypto, Crypto Wendy O, ran into J Chains over there, BitBoy, ran into Miss Teen Crypto, Virtual Growth.
Awesome.
It's literally like I was in one area and it's almost like they just kept, here's another person that I know. And I was like, I'm trying to give me some food. And it kept seeing awesome people. So had some
ran into everybody but me. I did not go to the Bitcoin conference, but you are currently in Miami. This date stamp for this, it is the 8th of April while we're recording this. This episode comes out in 2 days on Sunday, and you'll be back by then, right?
I don't know. I might not. Because I don't know if you see the, it's not impacting Palma so much, but 80% of the island does not have electricity.
Oh, I don't know what it's like by you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, my solar power apparently had something wrong in its motherboard and they were going to replace it, but they haven't replaced it yet. So I literally have no electricity at my house, even though I have 27 panels of solar on top of that. 27 panels of solar and 0 motherboards that are functional gives you 0 electricity.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to make up for that today with a ton of electricity with our guest, Gimme Song. Give me Jimmy.
Songs, baby.
Give me Jimmy. But before we do, I want to let
you know Jimmy.
Crypto Tax Audit. You've heard it here before from our friend Clinton Donnelly, cryptotaxaudit.com. It's a monthly membership service. And this is basically going to show you everything that the IRS knows about you. And these tools are great. It's totally worth the price. We don't get a commission or bump for this. We're just telling you about it. Clinton Donnelly, the CPA, is a friend of the show. We think this service is valuable. Go to cryptotaxaudit.com for audit protection and do-it-yourself return instructions. It's not too late. In fact, the day is arriving. April 15th is almost upon us. So you want to get this done.
I love Clayton Donnelly. Great.
Hey, Trav, before we we go to the Jimmy Song interview, I want to show you something.
What's that?
You and I are both holders of Gary V's VFriend NFTs, and VCon is coming up in Minneapolis in 41 days from now in May.
Yep.
And they just released this new teaser trailer on Twitter, and I'm pretty hype about it. And see if you recognize any voices in this video.
I wanted to show people that NFTs were much bigger than art.
You're going all in. VFriend. These are not just picture NFTs.
Here's what's nuts. Every VFriend comes with a 3-year ticket to VCon. It's a Coachella meets South by entrepreneurial super conference. Legends coming.
You're always about tomorrow. You just start your NFT business.
You're taking that shit to the next level. I think it's brilliant.
This conference is going to be bananas. I can't wait for it.
How about that, good sir?
Conference is going to be bananas.
Yeah, we made a special appearance in there. They chose to use the video clip from our interview with him before VFriends launched.
That's true.
So,
we had Gary on the show. I think we had him on the Nifty show, right? He wasn't on.
Yeah, we had him on the Nifty show before VFriends.
And I think we put it on Bad Crypto too, or maybe a clip went on Bad Crypto.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you guys listened. Hopefully you jumped on and got yourself some VFriends. There were some people out there who were detractors saying Gary V don't know nothing about no NFTs. They don't need to be doing no NFTs. See, that's what's wrong with the space. And they were wrong. And it's what it is, it is.
They were very wrong. Anyway, looking forward to VCon. A lot of our friends are going, and let us know if you're going to be there. If there's enough bad cryptopians there, maybe we can do a little bad crypto meetup. So shoot us a message to badcryptopodcast@gmail.com if you are going to be at VCon in Minneapolis in May, and maybe we'll get together and have adult beverages or something.
Yeah, dude, I ran into so many fans. I'm in Miami at Bitcoin conference right here, as you mentioned. And when I was standing at one spot, I think 6-7 different people came up in different groups. 6-7 different groups came up and said, dude, we're in this because of you and Joel we listened to your show early on. And I always say, no, dude, you did it. You're the one who were out there seeking knowledge. You found it. You were researching it. We were just a conduit, my man. You did it. And I just love it, though, when people come up to us and say, man, we love listening to your show because it has impacted my family's wealth trajectory. Not that we're financial advisors, but that we're saying, hey, check this out, check that out. And it's just awesome.
It's very humbling, and we're grateful for all of you who listen to the show. Get ready for a super interesting interview. Jimmy does not shy away from controversy. He is definitely not on the NFT bandwagon. You'll hear about it or watch it if you are watching our show on YouTube or Odyssey.com. Here we go. Senior Jimmy Song. I always like being able to start a show with Jimmy because the world needs more Jimmy.
That's right.
Especially
more
Travis.
Songs too. They need more songs.
We need more songs. We need more Jimmys. We need more songs about Jimmy. And the world has just the right amount of Jimmy songs. There's one of them. He is a prominent Bitcoin developer and author, venture partner at Blockchain Capital, loves teaching the world about Bitcoin and blockchain. For a repeat appearance on the Bad Crypto Podcast, the one and only Jimmy Song. Hello, Jimmy.
How's it going, guys? It's good to be here. I just one little note. I'm no longer venture partner at Blockchain Capital. I am an advisor at Unchained Capital, so got a couple words there.
We'll just correct that. Advisor at Unchained Capital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, we're creating show notes on the fly.
Right? Hey, I was just thinking you should create a podcast, and you should have two co-hosts, and they should both be named Dan, and you could call it the Song and Dance. I don't know too many people named Dan in the crypto space. Dan Held, you could get Dan Held, and then somebody another Dan. Song and Dance. That's clever. I kind of like it. I just wish I had more friends named Dan. That's all. Yeah, I need more friends named Dan, and you can introduce yourself.
So write us. If you're a Dan and you want to know Jimmy and do a podcast with him, write us at badcryptopodcast@gmail.com. The last time you were on the show, Jimmy, I believe was episode number 144. It was on June the 25th, 2018. So almost 4 years ago. The title of that episode was Bitcoin is All That Matters. Here we are 4 years later. At that time, Bitcoin, had reached a high of almost 20,000, came back down to about 3,500. Now we've seen highs of 69,000. Timestamp March 29th is the day we're recording this, 2022. Bitcoin's around 47 and a half right now. Is Bitcoin still all that matters?
Yes. No problem saying that. I know there's always like the new flavor of the day. You got some NFTs or DeFi or whatever. None of those things matter. No one's going to remember them in 10 years. Everyone's going to be like thinking of them as we do Beanie Babies right now, right? Like we talk about how, oh, remember that Beanie Baby craze in the late 90s or something like that. Nope, nobody remembers any of that anymore. And it had no significance other than as a warning to other people that don't get caught up in this weird mania, because if you don't understand what the heck is going on, you're probably the sucker. So sadly, I think that's an indictment on a lot of the space, the crypto space, as you would call it, that are into that stuff. But Bitcoin's the one thing that matters. It'll still be here 10 years from now, and it will still matter. Whereas all that other stuff is just gonna go the way of the Beanie Baby.
But when you hang on a second, because I'm looking at Beanie Babies, and the value right now of the rarest one is $500,000.
Oh, is that true?
The Princess Bear, the Valentino Bear is worth 20 grand. Claude the Crab is worth 10 grand. Weenie the dog is worth 2,500.
Oh, not Weenie the dog.
Yeah, Weenie the dog is worth 2,500. So, I mean, maybe I think for a while it was definitely a fad, and then they overproduced, and then the market came crashing down. But for collectors now, they're kind of back. So is that?
Well, I mean, that's more an indictment on fiat money and how much we've been printing. But like every collectible has gone up insanely in the last couple of years, including, I guess, some Beanie Babies that maybe some people, when they were 7 or 8, they were collecting them, and now that they're 30 something, they're like, you know what, maybe it's worth like going and getting some of that. I don't know, something.
Maybe there's some nostalgia, Joel. They're all like, man, I wish I had Jimmy the Frog. And, they don't have that one. I don't even know that's one. Actually, in the UK, they have the forest prevention fighter Smacky the Frog. I don't know if you knew that. It's from an old Mitch Hedberg joke. But it's true. It's Smacky the Frog, you got Smokey the Bear. But so yeah, but I'm saying this from the NFT LA right now. I'm actually in LA, hanging out here. It was rainy as shit yesterday. It was unbelievable. The one day a year that God washes the filth off the streets of LA, which was nice. And I don't know if it works, but there's a lot of stuff going on, man. A lot of things to unravel. So you got a new book out. And it's about the American dream, right? Around crypto. I want to talk about this because right now we just seen how the world is trying to cancel Russia, right? They've kicked Russia off of SWIFT. They, Visa, MasterCard no longer over there. And now what we're seeing is, well, they always talk about the New World Order, but it looks like it's a New World Order that they weren't necessarily planning on, potentially. I don't know if it's planned or not, but Russia and China, Russia and China are starting to work together, right? And they just said, hey, China's like, all right, we're going to pay Russia in rubles, or they're going to pay them in yuan. And then India's getting in the game. Brazil's getting in the game. The BRICS are like, all right, we don't need the old fiat dollar system and the world reserve currency as it is. And so it's crazy what's going on right now. So what is your thoughts on the world reserve currency and then maybe Bitcoin's role in this changing world we're in right now?
Yeah, so I do feel like the U.S. kind of made a mistake a little bit in sort of banning Russia from using the U.S. dollar rails, because I think Crypto Hayes, Arthur Hayes, he's the BitMEX guy. He wrote this very long article about how he thinks this is the beginning of the end of the US dollar system, because at this point, anybody that's ever done dollar transactions knows that any country anyway, they know that the SWIFT system and the rails on which all of the international settlement happens with the dollar, if you get the US mad, then they're going to sort of like take it away from you, and Russia is feeling the brunt of it. But in a sense, they've been preparing for this moment for a while. They've had bilateral trade agreements with a lot of other countries and so on. So you've basically isolated them, but now they're motivated to go create their own sort of exchange system using something else. I said in a tweet the other day that every time money is seized from somebody, like through a trusted third party, whether it's legitimate or not, a new Bitcoiner is born. Every single time that happens, a new Bitcoiner is born, because they know that it can be taken away. Once it's taken away, for whatever reason, legitimate or not, you're not going to want to give them that power, and that means that they're going to use something else that can't be taken away. And this is the beauty of Bitcoin, is that it can't you can't take it away, and that in itself is very interesting in terms of global politics and like where Bitcoin's role might emerge as we go towards a fractured world, because in a sense, like most of the world has been running on the dollar standard, using that as sort of like the lever of trade or the settlement currency for everything. Now there's at least 2 or 3 countries that are saying, hey, I don't know if that's a very good idea, because these guys are mad at us and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, are you really going to be able to stop, Russia, Iran, and China from trading with each other at this point? If you're not using the dollar, then there's going to be these ways in which the dollar gets undermined as a result. So I don't know if it was a great idea, but it's certainly showing that international finance is starting to waver a little bit in like the world order that's been in existence since like the 70s.
You say it can't be taken away, but just like, when we went up the gold standard, they said, hey, you got to trade in your gold for our paper money. Could they not make Bitcoin illegal? I'm not saying that they will, but if they did and said, hey, if you transact with us, you can go to prison. So trade it in for our Fed coin, which is a very real possibility. Then what happens?
Yeah, I mean, they certainly could, and the reason why FDR was able to do Executive Order 6102 was because most people didn't hold gold. Most people held dollars, and the exchange was that you could go redeem $20.67 for 1 ounce of gold at any time, and that was the deal. That was how the banking system worked, and that's what the dollar represented. And that was the case for much of the world for a long time. The thing that changed was, the reason why he was able to execute so well on the Executive Order 6102 was because the banks had all the gold. So what he did was he just went to the banks, took their gold. That was it. It was really simple because all the gold was in one place. With Bitcoin, that's going to be much harder. Now, some people did hold gold in their house and stuff like that. It would have required them sending the feds to every single home and searching them in order to go get the gold. And they did that in a couple of high-profile cases. But the vast majority of Americans that held physical gold were able to hold on to it because the feds weren't going to come knocking on your door, and as long as you just sort of kept it safe somewhere, it was fine. And it was good for them to do so because just a year later, 1934, FDR revalued gold or the dollar to gold ratio. Instead of $20.67, now it was $35. So that was monetary debasement. And this is what the Fed does sort of like every day now. But that was his way of expanding the money supply by just making the dollars worth less. And that's essentially what happens with inflation. Could they do that with Bitcoin? I really don't think so, because everybody has, I mean, he can certainly go in and take them from exchanges. I don't think that would be that hard. But a very large amount of Bitcoin sits off exchange, and this is why we keep our own, hold our own keys and so on. If you have them at an exchange or whatever, then you can just go get it. But for we've been preaching in this space that not your keys, not your coins. Well, if they are your keys, the government might not even know you have it. And they're certainly not going to be able to raid your house and take it very easily, especially if you have a reasonable security setup. At least with gold, they can just like find it and then take it. With Bitcoin, it's a lot harder. So they could make it illegal, and certainly, countries like China have made it gone right up to that point of making it illegal. But the nice thing is, if they do make it illegal, I think there are remedies. You can still transact in Bitcoin because it's a peer-to-peer currency. You don't need a trusted third party's approval in order to transact in it, and that means that it's ultimately going to be a lot easier for people to subvert their government. So in a sense, it'll be kind of like a law in name only, and most people are just going to be like, whatever. For store, and also you're just going to push people to other places, just like China mining ban meant that all of the mining came to like Texas and other places. All right, like the other jurisdictions are like, great, we'll take those jobs, we'll take that economy, we'll gladly take some of your economy away from you, right, that you don't want. That's basically what's going to happen. So I don't see that as a real viable thing that the government can do.
Yeah. Well, coincidentally, as we're talking about this, as we are delivering a red pill suppository today, the Russian central bank is talking about a gold-backed crypto ruble. And it's basically going to be a fixed price of 5,000 rubles per gram. And they mentioned they're going to start launching this between March 28th and June 30th is when that's going to happen. Because right now, it's like, my girlfriend's Russian. She's not able to access anything. Like PayPal shut her down. Her Visa doesn't work. Her bank, she can't access her bank account. None of that stuff is there. So she can't even fly back home right now because of the craziness going on in the world. Can't fly over, to Russia over American airspace or European airspace, and it's just such a fiasco right now. But a golden backed crypto ruble, that sounds like something that could disrupt some global finance, doesn't it?
Maybe. It depends on the redemption properties. The thing about anything physical is that you have to have a delivery mechanism. With dollars, it's a little easier because it's on somebody's bank account, and there are some people that are able to redeem Tether if they wanted to, apparently, although Tether demand is through the roof everywhere. But, if you do have a crypto ruble, does that mean like normal rubles are also redeemable in gold? Because that would be like the first gold-backed currency since like Switzerland in the 80s or something like that. So that would be a very interesting thing. If they do that, then ruble demand is going to go through the roof. And if assuming that there's a reasonable way to go and convert it to the actual gold, because gold demand is very high in a lot of places, and if there's a lot of rubles, then or too many rubles for the gold that they hold or something like that, then it might be found out when they refuse to convert it or whatever. I mean, it could disrupt it. I suspect that the details are going to matter significantly. I honestly think like Bitcoin's far superior because it's a native digital asset, and you don't need the delivery is just on the blockchain, so it's very easy. Whereas delivery of gold is, like you have to send armed ships and like those armored cars and stuff like that to
sure.
deliver.
Well, it's definitely a better, Bitcoin is a better delivery mechanism, but when the West is trying to completely cancel a country, and they're going to go, well, here's our best option, excuse me. And so they're finding solutions outside of the traditional system. Now, I guess they're making Bitcoin be more legal there because that's a solution for them. But up until the Ukrainian sort of thing, they were making Bitcoin illegal in Russia, right? They were trying to make crypto illegal. And it's like, this is the solution to help them when the West is canceling them. And so it's like, well, they're trying to figure it out, either Bitcoin or creating their own crypto backed by gold. I think if they do that, it's an interesting experiment.
Yeah, it definitely would be. But the main thing is that there are sort of like side channels that you can send value in. And this is something that, the G7 leaders or whatever, I don't think really counted on. Is they're like, okay, well, we're going to make it almost impossible for Russia to do anything and Russians to do anything. And that's obviously what your girlfriend is experiencing. It's going to be a very hard thing to shut off every valve, because right now in the digital realm with transfer of value available over like the internet basically, it makes that very, very tough. But they might just sanction more and more things and try to plug more holes, or they might realize this is all futile. I'm not sure which direction they'll go, but those are the two possibilities there.
So it's been my contention for quite some time that after the last run that we had, when we're looking at the CoinGecko chart, we bottomed down last summer to just under 30,000. We hit last November about 69,000, and then people were going, oh, we're going back under 30 again. And some who are bearish say, oh, once we've fallen from that 69, we're entering into a several year bear market. When we look at the past history of Bitcoin, my gut tells me that we have yet to see the mother of the bull runs, and perhaps now we're beginning to see the motion in that direction. While not being a financial advisor, what does your gut tell you, or do you feel like we're going to see the super bull run before the bear market happens, or are we just going to go sideways or maybe down?
To me, when you're asking that question, it is like high time preference behavior personified. Everyone wants to know, hey, what's going to happen in the next few weeks?
Right.
That's not that important. The thing that's important is what happens over 5 or 10 years. If it goes up or down in the next 3 months, whatever, like that's just something that'll happen. But like 10 years from now, the thing that will be significant is how much it has sort of like become a global reserve currency, and what the price will be like in those time scales. And like the reason price analysis of, hey, what's going to happen in the next few weeks is so popular is because most people have high time preferences. This is a fiat disease. Everyone wants to know that because they're really only living for the next few weeks. So they just want to be rich for this amount of time or whatever.
A fiat
rich in 2 months, bro. That's all.
A fiat disease. That's interesting.
The ultimate thing that you really want to look at is it going to be, where's it going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And from my perspective, the gut feeling there is, hey, it's going to be worth a lot more than it is now. And if you believe that, then the rest of this crap doesn't matter, right? Oh, are we on another like bull trend here? And are we really going to hit 100,000? I don't know. It might not. I have no idea. And like short-term predictions to me are just showing that the people that are watching this stuff, a lot of the people that get obsessed with, trading charts and all that, they are living a high time preference life, and that's not good for you. I'm telling you right now, you do that and you FOMO into something or whatever, that's you're gonna have like that squirrel mind for the rest of your life. What you want to do is
What if I
plan for
like
5,
nuts?
10 years.
What if I like nuts and him? So I
These
concur. I
nuts?
hodl my Bitcoin. I'm in it for the long haul. I don't know how people do the trading,
Mhm.
trying to capture the ups and downs. And what's really interesting to me is people will look at Bitcoin and go, "Oh, it's too much. It's 69,000. I can't invest in that." Then it goes down to 30, and they're like, "Should I buy?" It's like, you understand what this is, or you don't.
Yeah, and you understand it or you don't. And like the only times people are really really happy are when Bitcoin's at an all-time high, and that happens like every out of like a 4-year cycle. That happens for maybe like 4 months, or 4 to 8 months, something like that. And it's sporadic, right? Like you'll get an all-time high, then you'll dip a little bit, and then you'll get another all-time high like a few months later or something like that. And like the no coiners all look at it and say, if you bought at the very top, then you'd be down this much, and if you bought at the very top here, then you'd be down there. It's kind of a disingenuous argument. Look at the long-term trend. The local volatility doesn't matter that much on a long-term time scale. If you bought at any time in 2017, you'd still be up significantly right now at any time in 2017. And we went through a significant bull run at that point. You could have bought at the beginning of 2017. You could have bought at the end of 2017. No matter what, you'd be up right now, right? Like that's the thing. It's over a 5-year period. No one has ever lost money on Bitcoin. They have on a lot of altcoins and fiat and lots of other stuff, but not Bitcoin. Bitcoin, 5 years, you're good. And that's the thing that you need to sort of focus on, and not, okay, is it gonna go on an uptrend, and how soon can I retire? Just keep working, like keep stacking, and like worry about like your plan for 5 to 10 years, and not what's gonna happen over the next 6 months.
I don't know, but what our audience really wants to know is should we buy a V1 crypto punk or not? Like, or a Bored Ape? I mean, what do you think? I think we should. I mean, that seems like a good investment.
I really don't think drooling chimps are gonna have any value.
Come on, dude. You know you got a
man.
fat
I'm
stack
just-
of freaking
I
crypto. You know
really
you
don't
got
think
some
so.
NFTs over there.
Okay, I want to
I
fight you
really
on this,
don't.
Jimmy. Not in a Will Smith slapping Chris Rock kind of way, but do you see no value in NFTs at all?
I see zero value. I see this as bribery at the worst scale. I see this as artists selling out their souls for the sake of these crypto projects. These people are dead to me, because you have given up all of the things that you wanted to say with your art for the sake of pumping some other coin, and you've sold your soul. That's what I think.
But can you tell me how you really feel? Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So, but what do you say to those who say, okay, we're creating this NFT, and this is for having this becomes entrance into our community and get you real life experiences and physical goods and digital goods and entry into various memberships? Are those still trash uses to you?
No, but it doesn't make sense to do it on a blockchain. There are lots of people, lots of services like that. You can go and do like Sausage of the Month Club. You go sign up on a website. They take care of everything for you, instead of having it on some random blockchain and pumping some coin that's going to make some VC super rich, and some most of the people that get into it really poor. It doesn't make any sense to do it on a blockchain. It is horribly inefficient. It makes you can't upgrade anything. You have to constantly you have to constantly check to see if it's like valid, and there's all sorts of insider trading and all this other stuff. It makes zero sense to do it on a blockchain like that. Like you do it on a website, you do it in a centralized way. That's how all of these services where you have memberships or something like that work. If you wanted to go and get a membership at your local country club or whatever, you can go do that. You just pay them some money and they give you a membership card and it's in their database. Great. You don't need to pay like $400 in gas fees or whatever, so you can go and get an NFT that entitled. it's a boondoggle Rube Goldberg machine that makes zero sense to do in that context. So for people that are saying, oh, can you do this or that or whatever, it doesn't, like, there's like 100 million better ways to do it than that. And it, like the thing that I compared it to in my recent article in Bitcoin Magazine is, do you guys remember the beginning scene of Pee Wee Herman? Pee Wee's Big Adventure or something like that.
What was the opening scene? Remind us.
It was basically like all these like little machines, and then it like cooks him breakfast. It's like, a connecting thing, and it's like that's what this is like. It's like completely useless. There are easier ways to make breakfast. You don't have to go and have like a ball roll down into like a little pit, like causing a lever to go up and causing the lighting thing to go on, and then like it's a Rube Goldberg machine. It doesn't make any sense, and it's justification for Ethereum's existence. It is selling out your soul so that Ethereum can pump, and they're giving you some of that as a bribe in order for you to pump their thing. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, you'd probably appreciate this because this article on Sci-Fi that says the breakfast sequence in Pee Wee's Big Adventure proves Pee Wee is a psychopath. So, so maybe all NFT people are psychopaths. I'm not going to fight you any further on it. I feel like this is a rabbit hole that I could go down all kinds of directions on, because I
there's so many
with you on so many levels. But you're our guest and in our house, and we're very respectful with our guests, and we're glad that you're here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm fine fighting people on this, because I spent hours on Clubhouse, I think one time, just like arguing with an artist that was like, no, but artists get this and artists get that. It's like, yeah, and you've completely undermined your message, right? Like you're basically selling out to Ethereum so that they will give you some money for your art, and all that your art represents now is some token somewhere, rather than whatever message you want to make for the world, and to show the world that something is wrong or bad or good.
Isn't that up, Jimmy, to the artist to decide? And not everything is on Ethereum. We've minted 1.5 million NFTs on Wax, and there's no gas fees, and it doesn't cost anything for people to
now you guys have pumped Wax, right? Like that's the thing. If you really wanted to do an NFT, you could do it on your own website and make and do everything that they say you could do. The only reason why people go on Wax or Ethereum or Binance Chain or whatever is because all the buyers are there. All the people that will pump your thing in exchange for you being on their platform are there. These are the people that got in early. These are the people that got in on the pre-mine or whatever. They're willing to go and give you a ton of their pre-mine coins, because as a bribe, so that you are on their platform. If you were actually an artist that wanted to give digital rights to something in some metaphysical way, you could do it on your website in a centralized way, no problem, and you could keep all of that, and you wouldn't have to have this Rube Goldberg machine or anything like that.
What happens, Jimmy, when somebody wants to sell that? And then as a creator, I get royalties on that for the rest of my life, and I don't have to be any part of that transaction because it's on blockchain.
Yeah, that's called a tax, man. I don't see why that's a good thing. Every time you want to transfer something and you now get taxed. Well, for the artist, me is like that to me is like the anathema, like of what you want with private property. If every time I sold anything I had, right, like I have this hat, for example, now the hat creator gets 20%. That in any other world, that's called a tax, and that's a third party that gets benefit without actually adding any value to that transaction other than their approval. And I don't see how that's a good thing. It just means that you don't actually own it.
It's a great thing for the creator, because imagine this.
Because the creator's the taxer. They're the person that's benefiting.
Right. It's not a government tax. It's the person who created this thing. You get a long-term thing.
Yeah, that means that you don't actually own it. So I have an NFT. Okay. Oh, but I need the artist's permission, and I need to bribe them with 20% of the sales proceeds.
Well, some people get a little crazy.
That's not a good thing. That just means that you don't really own it.
Go,
that means
Jimmy.
that you own like 20% of it, and I own 80% of it. And every time I transfer it, you have to get your 20%. That's a tax. That's not a good thing. That's a bad thing. If I
really
buy
wanna...
something, I want it to be mine. And if you have a claim to it, I can't freely transfer it to somebody else, then I don't want it.
Oh my gosh, I want to audio tune that rant so badly.
Yeah. It's a tax. It's a bad thing. Well, I mean, there's a lot of interesting experience type of things that you can do that I think is great. Like, so explain to me in the real world how you would do this for tickets, right? Because right now I got to print a shitty ticket off, and then I got to take the paper in. Well, with NFTs, you can literally have that as a ticket. You can unlock that, create a digital experience, and then they can know that you're here, and then drop you stuff into your wallet while you're at the event. And then when you leave, they can drop you things in your wallet down the road because you were at an event and you were there. It's like a continuing community building kind of a thing. So there's a lot of really interesting use cases for NFTs and ownership, but I think a lot of it's exploited by the people, the artists, and the people out there who are trying to rug pull and get rich quick and not fully utilizing the full aspects of the technology at this point. A lot of cool things can be
Travis,
done.
when's the last time you went to a concert or a game?
Last time I went to, it was the Chiefs AFC championship game that we lost.
Okay, and did you have to bring a physical ticket, or did you have the option of bringing a digital ticket on your phone or something like that?
Yeah, I had the digital ticket on my phone.
Okay, so like you're talking about you just made a straw man. You're like, oh, you don't have to go print the ticket.
It's like,
and
that's the way that it has
time.
been, but it's like, and now it's like, okay.
All right, but
message me down the road. I got it on
to,
my Apple Wallet or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
but the Chiefs didn't need a blockchain and an NFT to have you go into the
but a
stadium.
Concert dropping you additional things. Yeah, there's a lot of things.
I mean, but do they have your email? Do they send you
Well,
email
what
saying,
about
hey,
this?
the
You
Chiefs
wanna
are playing in the
resell that-
AFC Championship game?
Right.
Here's some interesting things that you can buy. Like they already have a relationship with you. If you're concerned about the relationship, that's way more manageable by having an email list and giving them free stuff as they need it.
Email deliverability is horrible. There's so many times the email doesn't arrive. Like, I know every wallet.
You can have an app. There's a million communication things besides, we have to do everything on the blockchain because there's no other internet or something. It's such a stupid argument to me, because all of these things can be done 100 times more efficiently, 100 times more cheaply, 100 times better in a centralized system, because you have the upgrade ability, you have the ability to change things, you have the ability to customize the experience. You can't do any of that when it's on a blockchain with a smart contract. Right. You know how hard that shit is to update? Like the use cases that people come up with, I'm always like, well, why can't you just do that on a website or something?
Some cases you can. I can tell you that
every single time it's like, well, then I'd have to actually build it or something. Yeah. Or
we verified Jimmy Song
blah.
Screenshots NFTs.
What's that?
You screenshot NFTs. We know you do.
Right click save
does
as.
that make me a bad person? I don't why do I need to click right and save as? Like, why do I somehow you have intellectual rights or yeah, it's that all of these use cases that people come up with are way better centralized. There's no reason for these things to exist except to pump the coin, the underlying coin, to scam people, to get people to think that they own something that's valuable when in fact it isn't. It's all a scam. So to me, like, justifications along these lines are really like just that. They're justifications for scamming. I really don't understand people that are doing it and try, like, I guess it's like what Upton Sinclair said. It's hard to convince a man against of something if their job depends on them not understanding it. And I feel that for pretty much everyone that's in NFTs, because they will defend that blockchain to death, right? Wherever their thing is, it's like, okay, gee, I wonder why they made the NFT thing appear, because once you get the artist into the NFT ecosystem, now they will defend whatever the ecosystem is to their dying breath, because it's, oh yeah, I don't care that Ethereum had a 70% pre-mine, because I'm making money, so therefore it's good, right? Like, and everybody has like the starving artist friend, the talented musician that can't seem to catch a break, the talented artist that struggles to make ends meet and everything else. And I have sympathy for them, but this is not your solution. This is a bribe by the people of that ecosystem to get you on board, so you will say good things about them, to make it seem like they have utility when they really don't.
Let me ask you this question, Jimmy. You just said that quote. Is it possible? Is it in the realm of possibility that you don't understand?
I definitely understand it.
No,
I'm a technical guy. Dude, NFTs were possible. NFTs were possible on Bitcoin in 2013. I coded the freaking thing. So don't tell me I don't understand.
I didn't say that. I said, is it possible? Is it in the realm?
I definitely understand it, and I think you're trying to cast shade in my direction, because I'm beating you guys so badly over the head on how this stuff is such a scam. But it's a scam, guys. It really is. And until you understand that, and 5-10 years from now, people are going to be like, oh, remember those guys? They were pumping NFTs or whatever.
Yeah. 5 to 10 years from now, when NFTs are still around, can we have you back on the show?
I mean, I'm sure some
are we
NFT
dead
somewhere is going to be around, but I'm saying it's not going to have the cultural like, oh, it's
this is the key to the metaverse, man. It's
a new art or something or whatever.
And it's bringing in so many people into crypto. Like this has made so much mass awareness to people about crypto and what it can do, that it's bringing in droves. This is potentially the thing that's bringing in mass adoption. The metaverse, play to earn, NFTs.
You know how many people come up to me and they go, can you explain to me what an NFT is? And I explain it to them, and they're like, really? That's it? That's what people are getting excited. It's a database road that has some attestation or something. I'm like, yeah, and you could transfer it, and that's it. So there's no, so this art piece, it has no connection other than by convention. I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. Then why are people, I don't get it. Like it's confusing to people because it's a clear scam. And anyone that with any sense of like reasonableness sees that right away. And they're like, oh, I thought I just didn't get something, that there was some magical thing on the background that was technical that I didn't understand. I'm like, no, there's nothing like that. There's no magical, metaverse thing that you're not getting or something. It's just literally a database row that says you own something as a convention of the artist, and they have no obligations whatsoever to keep that. You're trusting them to do that. And yeah, it can be completely fraudulent. It could not be their art. It could be whatever. But, like that's what it is. And they're like, oh, then I should probably not get into it. But, they hear stories. Oh, people sold for $69 million. Maybe my stupid NFT picture that I just made up will also sell for $69 million. It's like, guys,
let me just
have
say
no
this.
idea how this shit works. It's all because the VCs have pumped it that anything like that happens at all.
Clearly, we have no sense, and I'm fine with that. I will
That's
predict
why he's maximum, dude. He's the Bitcoin maximum.
I will predict this in 10 years. NFTs will be deeply integrated into our society through, maybe not through, cartoon avatars, but through whatever metaverse looks like, virtual worlds look like, whatever play to earn looks like. There will be ups, there will be downs, there will be scammers, there will be shysters, and there will be real value. And in 10 years, that hat on your head, you will be eating. So do you
what
prefer
do I get
mustard?
if I'm right? What do I get if I'm right?
I'll eat Travis's
I'm
hat.
willing to eat this hat in 10 years.
I'll
you
eat
guys
Travis's
tell me
hat.
what I get, and if it's equal, we'll make that.
Well, it's not a bet. I'm just saying it's a prediction. I'm telling you, this is what I believe is going to happen. But you have written a new book, and I want to, before we wrap up, I want to focus on this book, Bitcoin and the American Dream, the new monetary technology transcending our political divide, available on Amazon and other places. Tell us what this book is about. While the title is clear, go a little deeper for us.
Yeah, so we wrote this book for politicians, basically. And the reason why we wrote it for them is because they really have no clue what Bitcoin is. So we wanted to give them a book that would give them a good idea of what's going on. I think latest stats that I heard from DCG were something like 23 million Americans have some exposure to Bitcoin in some way, shape, or form, whether it's through GBTC or something else, or directly buying or whatever. 23 million is a lot of people. And so when they hear about Bitcoin, they get a little scared. They're like, okay, who are these people? What do they want? And what's it all about? That's what we're trying to address with this book. So we make it very useful for politicians to understand, for politicians. We have a whole chapter on Bitcoin and the American voter. That's like who the actual Bitcoin voters are. And for a lot of people, they think, oh, it's just a bunch of anarcho-libertarian white men that just, were Ron Paul crazies or something like that. Now, there are those people in Bitcoin for certain, but that's not all of Bitcoin. In fact, there are lots of other subgroups that you wouldn't otherwise expect. So for example, Black people are more likely to own Bitcoin than white people. That's not something most people know. So on a per capita basis, more Black people own Bitcoin. Military veterans, that's another huge group that owns Bitcoin, that are very into Bitcoin because they've seen what war does, and they don't like inflation and the welfare warfare state and stuff like that. So we talk about all that, and we make the argument from a lot of different angles. No matter what part of the political spectrum you come from, you're going to probably hate one chapter and love one chapter, because we try to come at things from multiple perspectives. So if you're somebody that's super conservative, maybe chapter 4, where we talk about social justice, that's going to be like a little bit cringy for you. And if you're way on the left, then maybe like reading about how it's helping some farmer or something like that, or I don't know. I'm not liberal, so it's hard for me to think of what they would find objectionable. But there's probably stuff that they find objectionable. Ultimately, what we have at the end are policy proposals that we want politicians to espouse, and they are all based on Bitcoin. And that's why we wrote the book, to help them understand what it is that this voting group really wants, and to get them on board with us.
Are you sending copies of this to Capitol Hill, to each House, representative and senator's office?
Well, so we held the book launch in February in Washington, D.C., and invited a whole ton of people. Senator Lummis actually spoke at that gathering, and she was very gracious. Of course, it helps that one of her daughter is one of the co-authors, Annalise Witherspoon. But we invited a bunch of staff from Capitol Hill, and we gave them copies of the book. And that's something that we're continuing to do as we meet with senators and members of Congress and their staff, and governors and state legislators, and giving them this book. It's we're talking about what Bitcoin represents and what it means. And honestly, it's like it's a much easier issue for them to grasp. And like there are other lobbying groups that do other things that that, like Coin Center, for example, they are very into Ethereum and other things. There's also Blockchain Association, and they have a very wide membership with a lot of different constituents. For us, it's very important to be Bitcoin only and focus on that, because honestly, like whatever differences we might have, you guys know, if Bitcoin goes down, everything's dead, and that's just the reality. And
Bitcoin is daddy, that's for sure.
Yeah, if Bitcoin dies, everything dies. And if they're able to take down Bitcoin, they're definitely able to take down absolutely everything else. So that to me is an important part of the message, is showing the importance of Bitcoin to all of these people and getting them towards a more a Bitcoin enabled future where we'll have more self-sovereignty.
That's beautiful, man. And so where people can find it, it's Bitcoin and the American Dream, Amazon, all the places.
So Amazon's a good one. I think bitcoinandtheamericandream.com goes to the Amazon link, so you can go to that URL as well. You can I think I have links to it on my website, programmingbitcoin.com, which is the title of my first book. I might have to switch my website or something at some point for that reason.
Yeah, it's a song and dance. The song and dance.
Well, if you guys would name yourselves Dan, then we can maybe do something like that. But
Can we
I don't
add
know.
a title, Travis, to our names? I mean, we're already Dr. Sirloin, Reverend, Most High, Joel,
Oh,
Travis,
thanks. Yeah.
Time Lord, Dan's.
And by the way, Dan, by the honorary Dan.
Honor. Well, what could Dan be short for? Is there like a title that actually goes with Dan? I don't know.
That's a really good question. If you guys out there listening know what that
Dan
could be,
Sir, I guess. I guess you guys
hold me closer,
Song and
Tiny.
Dan's, right? That's where it comes
Hold
from.
me closer, Tiny Dan, sir.
Yeah. Well, so there it is meant to be pretty wide ranging, and we're really trying to make some inroads on Capitol Hill. A lot of senators are pretty interested. There's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. House is a little bit tougher, but we definitely have to have some advocates in the House as well. So
You're supposed to pay them off. You don't they don't want your book, they want your money. So if you can somehow, if you can give
what they really want is your vote, because
then they'll be like, whoa.
What they really want is your vote. That's the real currency on Capitol Hill, is that
Right.
if you can deliver them like 10,000 votes from their district, then they'll do stuff for you.
And with voting machines now the way they are, they don't even really need your vote.
Fully. This is something that I think we have to recognize as a community, is that like a large portion of this community are, young men from like 18 to 35, something like that, that tend to be libertarian or whatever, and they don't vote, and that means that we have much less influence on Capitol Hill.
Right.
But if you turn us into single issue voters that go in and vote on the ballot box, because hey, Brad Sherman, for example, is very anti-Bitcoin, CA30. If you live in that district and support Erica Rhodes instead and come out of the woodwork for that, that's going to send a message. That's going to get every member of Congress scared that they can be taken out by the Bitcoin people. So yeah, that's something to consider.
Wow. Well, Jimmy, this has been, as expected, fun, enlightening, and it's going to be really interesting to see where things go. We always appreciate you coming on, sharing your opinion. What website would you like people to go to find you, or socials?
Jimmy Song on Twitter, and programmingbitcoin.com is my website. I have a lot of articles on there, and my seminars, you can go look at it there, and so on.
You got a nice newsletter too, right? Like people can sign up for.
Yeah, I just turned it to paid, so I mean, you will still get some free content, but yeah, you can go check it out. It's jimmysong.substack.com.
Fan-frickin-tastic. Mr. Song, hope to see you again at an event in person with the hat. And thanks again for coming on today.
Maybe I'll be eating it. I don't know.
and thanks for being on Blockchain Heroes, because you are an NFT. So sorry.
Yeah,
I am.
Well, you inspired an NFT.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You are not an NFT.
The Kool-Aid man who busted.
Well, I don't really believe in intellectual property, so that's another whole can of worms.
Wait. Well, let's open that can for just a second. Are you saying that somebody creates something, then anybody should be able to use it, like whatever that creation is?
Well, so it's this idea that, patents and copyright, I think it's been really, really abused for like copyright as the founders thought of it, like 14 years or with a renewal to 28, something like that. That's fine. But now it's like controlled by the Disney Corporation, where, it keeps getting extended because Mickey might run out of copyright or whatever.
Right.
I think that's horrible. I think the patent system is ridiculous and stupid, and it gives artificial monopolies to a lot of players. So
let's bring it home to the artist. I write a song. Travis and I become rappers, and we write a song and put it out. Is that now public domain? Anybody can use it and do whatever they want with it, and we get nothing, or what?
Well, so if you write the song, like. The question is, can you have metaphysical property that is sort of like enforced by government mandate, and I'm not sure you can. I don't know if it's right for a government to do that. And that, you know, like with Bitcoin, it's metaphysical property that is enforced by the blockchain, and it's, you know, you know who owns it or whatever. With intellectual property, other metaphysical things like okay, this is my work or something like that, then it's you know, sort of government enforcement of things. And I don't know if that's a good thing. And I think we've gone way too much in one direction, which is protect whoever the creator or the rights owner is. And that almost always ends up with you know, some corporation anyway. And
Well,
they get obscenely
I would
rich off of
say
it, but
that most of what the government does, they do poorly and have no
Mhm.
business doing in the first place. So I don't disagree
Yeah.
with at least part of that.
Yeah, and so if there is no real good enforcement mechanism, or it requires tyranny in order to enforce that, I'm not sure it should exist.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. So like, so say you make you know, like a song or whatever, what's considered a violation? Can I make a parody of it? Can
Well,
I perform it?
parody is protected, right?
It is, because they decided, well, okay, we can't enforce it just like strictly, because then it wouldn't make sense. So like there's all this subjective judgment that comes in towards stuff like that. So for that reason, I like, it either has to have like clear property boundaries, or it shouldn't be it shouldn't be considered property, and that's enforced by the state at all. So, you know, that there are libertarian thinkers that have thought much harder than me on this, and you can go read like the writings of Stefan Kinsella or something like that. But you know, like there's good reason to believe that like having intellectual property rights actually like prevents innovation in all sorts of ways.
Well, look at what a lot of, you know, musicians do. I remember, you know, in the 80s, the first time we heard sampling, really late 70s, we heard sampling, and, you know, you had Under Pressure became Ice Ice Baby, and you know, Rick James song became You Can't Touch This. And I'm like, they literally are just taking the riffs from other people's music and creating something new. And I don't know if they do it, you know, a lot of times with permission, without permission, but I always think it's kind of the cheap way, you know, copying somebody else's stuff.
Well, I don't know about that, because like when you sample something and create something brand new, that's sort of like, you know, taking elements from different things. Like, you know, there are lots of people that have used the literal words that are in this book, right? Like, so for example, I say the rise of the Bitcoin voter. I'm sure somebody at the beginning came up with some sort of tagline about rise of something or other. Do I have to give them credit for it now? Because like, you know, I came up with this phrase. I have no idea where it comes from, but it's part of the social lexicon. And music is like that. Art is like that. All things are like that. And to say, okay, this person owns this phrase or this, you know, I mean, like athletes for some reason like to trademark phrases, right? And it's like, oh no, that phrase, like Pat Riley apparently owns the trademark to three-peat or something like that because he did it with the Lakers. And that seems ridiculous to me. That's that, like, why do you get to own a word? It doesn't really, you know. So for that reason, like you might consider it cheap, you might consider whatever, but if you're making something new, like what's wrong with that? Like, like, yeah, Daft Punk's like famous song, like they sampled some 70s song and they took 3, you know, beats from it and then created that whole thing, and it became this you know, like phenomenal hit in music. And you know, like even like Vanilla Ice, that the Ice Ice Baby song, he just took the riff, but he rapped over it. And that rap itself is a very new thing. And to say, oh, it's a derivative work, so oh, I'm gonna be all snobby and tell you that it's not as good. Well, you have the right to do that, and a lot of people will rag on the Ice Ice Baby song or whatever. But as an artist, like, why are you bound by other people saying, well, that's my property now because, you know, I made that beat, you know, 30 years ago? Why, how is it yours in any, you've put it out into the world, and the music's everywhere on the radio and everything else. Like it like the whole intellectual property thing seems kind of disingenuous to me. And besides, most artists nowadays, they're making most of their money off of performance and stuff like that anyway. So I don't know,
Jimmy,
it just seems
being a spiritual man, the Bible verse about there's nothing new under the sun, right?
Yeah.
Everything is, so if you're coming from that perspective, God's the creator of everything. He's got the copyright to all intellectual property, and we just get to to play with it and make derivatives. But to be clear, I don't care how talented Vanilla Ice was or how much you like Ice Ice Baby. Under Pressure is a far superior song. Case closed. Eat my hat on that.
Well, I would probably agree. Although, like, I'm not I'm not a music critic per se. So
Joel
I
just
don't know
doesn't
how
understand
qualified.
Ice Ice Baby. That's his problem.
Stop.
I do know that more people know the lyrics of Ice Ice Baby than Under Pressure.
That's probably
certain.
true.
Yeah,
that is
so,
probably
like culturally, it probably had more of an impact.
Cultural appropriation is a bad thing in this day and age. All right, let's end the show for the second time. Jimmy, thanks, man. Really appreciate you. It's been great.
Well, thanks for having me.
That was awesome. The rise of Jimmy Song. You got a rise out of him.
You gotta love that guy, Trav. I mean, he's sticking to his guns. I thought it was funny that he used Beanie Babies as an example, because I was recently researching Beanie Babies, and they're really valuable now. Like I don't. Right. When I left Colorado, we had bins of them, and I donated them all. I'm like, well, the value of these has gone down. I was very short-sighted and donated these bins. I'm like, I probably donated at least $100,000. I'm guessing worth of what they would be worth today of Beanie Babies.
Right. Crazy. Yeah. And he did have some points, and because he always does have points, but you can say he's just so into Bitcoin that he doesn't care about this other stuff. He's mining Bitcoin, coding Bitcoin, all in Bitcoin. And there's so many use cases for NFTs, man. The artists are changing the game on how they're doing NFTs. The musicians are changing the game. Like how Snoop Dogg just released his album as an NFT. Mm-hmm. And the more NFTs of them that you collect all of them, you get to go hang out with Snoop Dogg. Like, so it's all about the utility, all about the experience. And I think, he goes, well, you can do all that stuff without for free. You can do it. Like, yeah, but you know what? This is a thing that's bringing in mass adoption. So many people are getting into crypto because of NFTs, not because of Bitcoin. They're getting in on NFTs and then finding Bitcoin or starting to snag into some Bitcoin. So
Travis,
for everybody up in her.
Even
this guy right here, this guy can even hang out.
Yeah, he can. So I wasn't going to say anything because it hadn't been publicly announced yet, but I was refreshing the VCon page because usually they put out announcements on Friday, and they just announced the 2022 speaker lineup. And look who's right here in the middle. Look at this guy right here in the middle. Nice. I'm going to be on a panel at VCon. And super exciting. Right around I don't know what's going on with this girl. Is that a rope? No, that's her hair.
Nice. Okay.
So
I will not be speaking, but I will be cheering for Sir Lord Joel Comm and his speaking.
Thank you, good sir. You can, and I'm sure I will reference you. I will say.
I always do, because we've been doing this shit together, man, making magic happen. And it's just great because there's a lot of people out there. There's so many change makers out here that are trying to make the world a better place. And that's what it's all about, because the people who run the world are a little crazy, a little power hungry, a little control mongers and greedy. And so we got to find ways to change the world. And events like this, Bitcoin conference, VCon, NFTLA, other things like that, the people who are in the roundtable group that we're involved in and that we'll start to do more of this content around, like these are the change makers that are going to help make the world a better place. Because if not, we're going to be in this dystopian authoritarian technology thing that's just crazy. So we got to keep fighting the good fight, baby.
We are all in this together, gang. Wag me. And we appreciate you guys for listening. Thanks so much. Love to hear your feedback on the show. And again, if you're going to VCon in May, send us an email, badcryptopodcast@gmail.com. And that way we'll keep a list of who's going to be there. We'll let you know, when and where we're going to meet up there and in Minneapolis. We'll catch you guys on the next episode. It's going to be an awesome one. We're going to talk all about helium with one of the most active community members. It'll be epic. It'll be up in the air. Until then, stay bad.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.